Okay, that's good enough. All right, so today, children, I want to continue my episode or my recaps. And if you noticed on the previous one, I don't know, the last 30 minutes was muted. So I don't know what that means. I've been trying to test out and see like what God is wanting me to do as far as is He wanting me to get on live while I'm high. Like I feel like that's like a big thing with Him or something. And so I've been doubting that instinct and being like, that's ridiculous. Why would God insist on that? So the first time I just made a video. You close my door all the way. What?
Um, I just need your cooking advice on whether these cookies look done or not. I can take a picture if you'd like.
You left them in after you.
The timer just stopped.
Did you add any more time to the timer?
No, not yet. I need to.
Maybe add like 2 more minutes,
Okay.
and then however it is, just take them out.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that hardly ever happens when I'm actually recording. That's really weird. But anyway, so um, yeah. So I was like, well, he can't possibly need that to be part of the thing. So I made the first one completely in a sober state. That one got completely mangled. So then I had to make another one in an inebriated state. So then I was thinking, okay, but I also had gone live at the same time. So I thought, okay, he's wanting me to go live. It's not about that. He just wants me to go live from now on. So then I go live, not inebriated. And, it's chopping off half of my thing at the end. I'm like, dude, you can't be serious. So I hate that I have to keep bringing it up because it's really not that big of a deal. Um, but I had to test it a little bit to see if that's really what he was telling me. So I'm a little zooted right now, but really not. Like, I probably need to take a break or something, or just take more or whatever. But I knew that I was going to have to, um, decide if I was going to make this live because I really wanted to get all this done by the end of the week. So I'm a little overdue. So yeah. So yesterday, um, I took my daily dose. I think it was the same time, 11:30 or whatever. And I was chickened out. I probably could have done a live yesterday, and I chickened out. But then I started writing my recap, and I ended up doing that while I was high. So I was like, well, maybe that also counts. And I don't know. He seemed to be saying that that works too, because it's like I'm leaving things out, I'm putting things down, and then not saying them, whatever. So um, between my, the place that I'm at right now, which is fairly mild, and this recap that I left while I was zooted, we should be able to get a faithful record that won't be all jacked up. So I think it's okay to tell you the things. Oh no, I'm getting a phone call. I don't know what to do. I just decline it. Okay. So I think it's okay to tell you the two things that got cut off, or the one thing that got cut off, and the one thing that I did not add. Uh, but I know that one is, but I don't know if that it's cut off because I'm not supposed to say that or not. But it's like literally the finale of last season. So I don't know why I wouldn't share that. I mean, the rest of it's not going to make sense without it. So I'm going to continue. I hope he doesn't like ruin this one too. But like, so I don't know how much of it was left off, but I know for sure what you missed was that I don't know, maybe I talked about going on a fast or something, and I did do that. And then yeah, the finale part was that I don't know, I was in my room and I was, we were talking and I said something like, I was like, you're just like I mean, this is like, I said, the only difference between you and like an actual drug dealer is like, you actually get life, like, whatever you give is like actual life. It's not leading to death. Like that might be like the literal only difference. Like I just totally freestyled that. Like it was something like that, but it wasn't that. That sounds a lot more profound than what I said. Yeah, the literal difference between him and any other dealer of anything is that he's actually giving you life. So everything you do for God in order to get the life that he has is like, it all makes sense. It's all like actually lawful and right. So I was telling him, I was like, you're like, just like the dealer, the drug dealer. And I'm like, giving you everything. Like, it's not even really like, it sounds more noble in the book. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, oh yeah, are you a junkie for me? Like that. And like, stop like that, like emphasis, And I knew he was like echoing back because a lot of things he says all the time echoes back. So, there's things that he said to me that sort of reverberate. He says it's the prophetic, I'm picking out the prophetic things. And they're all like, I can always pick them out. That's what he said, but I didn't mean to roll my eyes. I love you. I'm trying. I got it. I'm gonna believe. I believe you. Why would I not believe you? Obviously. So he says that, and I'm thinking, oh, he's bringing back the junkie thing, and I'm like, wait, why is he saying it like that? Is he saying it like that's what he meant the entire time? Like he never meant like a literal junkie, but like he's not saying anything, and I'm like, wait, that wasn't like you weren't gonna like, or I said something like, is that what you meant? You didn't actually mean the other stuff? Because, well, okay. So I did that. And then he was like, surprise. But he was like, he said, I can't even do it now. I did it so much better in the first video. Like, I hate this. But he was just like, congratulations. Surprise. You did it. I love you so much. And now I know that you love me. Like, I love you so much. And I was like, what? He was like, you didn't have to do it. It was a test. It was a test to see if you would do that for me and you passed. I love you so much. I was like, but I didn't do anything. I was like, I haven't done anything yet. I was like, what about the getting low and then reaching the people and whatever else you were saying? Like, I'm being like, whatever, funny about it, but I was like literally like crying. And I feel like he was too. Like, it was like, and I was like, bro, did he just do an Abrahamic test on me? Like, are you serious? So, and I'm going back and thinking about what he said, and I'm like, well, he never actually said that I had to do those things. But he didn't like, he just sort of let me think that, you know what I'm saying? Like when I go back and really like listen to all the stuff he ever said, and I see it now that it was like, he just was letting me think that and not saying anything in those moments. Or even when he like said the thing about like, yeah, if you have to be left behind to do this thing for me, like he was just like literally like talking and bringing up something that he thought would be like ironic. He wasn't like, it's like, I think I was still in the mode of like God, when God talks to you, he's got something for you to do. Like, so, but like he went with all that, I think. I don't know. like especially that one, because after he told me that, you know, if you don't do these things for me, you're going to be in trouble. Like that was serious. And then later when he said like, yeah, and if you have to be left behind to do them, you're going to be really upset. And then he was like, sorry. Like he didn't mean like, you know, it's almost like he had a realization of like, he can't just be saying anything like, because people are like, what? Like he can't talk the way that we talk. He's like, oh yeah, I know that probably sounds really serious when I said that. It was true, but like it wasn't like whatever. I thought he was like literally like telling me what will happen, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, you're still learning that you're talking literally just talking to a person. So yeah, so that was the finale of last season. Was him, the final episode of what I thought. I was like, well, if he's really sticking to this, you know, 10 episode things, then technically, you know, this would be, and so it's always a surprise when it happens. I mean, it was a major moment because it was like I felt that weight lift when he said, "You're going to be a junkie for me," and I got this idea like, oh my gosh, you might not have to do all that. This might be what he meant, and I was like, wait, is that really? Like, then I went to like, hold on, wait. It's like that moment that you're in the, you know, whatever, you're at the surprise party or whatever, and you're trying to put together like why all those people from your life are in the restaurant. You know what I'm saying? Like he was just like, he was like, you don't have to do that shit. You don't have to do it. You passed. You made it. I'm just like, what? It was amazing, really. And then, so then when that happens, I'm gonna tell it. I promise. I'm just on a tear. So when something like that happens, you go, okay, well, surely not. Like now there's gonna have to be something that tops it, or like changes the whatever. The next thing that happens is gonna have to be episode 1. You know what I'm saying? That's not gonna happen, right? So that happened. Well, okay, so I should have said that first. You're right, babe. I'm sorry. So the other thing that happened last season that I left out, I just flat out left it out. So at some point we went on this trip to a casino that's like 2 hours from where we are. And it was like a casino and resort type thing. So we had never been to like anything like that. So I was just like trying to get like, you know, free stuff and buffet and be in my room and chill and vibe or whatever. Like I wasn't really trying to like take advantage of the whole casino part, but I thought it would be like fun because like we both like poker or whatever. Like try and win some money. But it was like, I don't know, it was a bad trip. It was bad timing. It was like all that stuff. We weren't doing the best financially. And so, you know, things were tense. But one thing that did happen on that trip is that so the trip was tense or whatever. Well, he ended up leaving, which I don't know. See, like I would rather stay than do a trip there and back, extra trip there and back, because he ended up having to pick me up the next day or whatever day it was, the next night or whatever. So he left. So I was there by myself, which was great. I ordered room service. I walked around because it was like an adult theme park in there. Like I thought it was cool. He did not think it was cool. So so yeah, so I was just like in my room vibing. Well, I must have got really, really zooted because I mean, that's not the only reason, but it contributed because God had already told me, like, whoever calls, answer the phone. And, I thought he was talking about, if my husband calls, but um, my mother in law actually called. And so I talked to her. It was a really like encouraging conversation. And so then the phone rang again, and I thought that was going to be him. And I looked at the phone, and it was just a random number, one of those randos that call you. And I was like, oh, it's just like a telemarketer or whatever he said. He was like, uh, whoever calls, answer the phone. And I was like, are you serious? So I was high as all get out. I pick up the phone. And then I'm expecting like, automated lady voice. And it's this guy and he reads off a thing and then it stops. And I go, hello? He goes, hello? I was like, this is a real person? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh my gosh. So I had no choice but to just speak my mind. And I basically was like, yeah, okay, so I'm really high right now. I just want to let you know that. But like, I am a Christian. Like, I am a Bible thumping Christian. And I just go into this whole thing about how, like, you know, God started talking to me. I never taken drugs in my life. And then God started talking to me. And I think he's like trying to use this as a channel because, we're just so cut off from him that it's getting to the point where he just got to come through like any kind of way. Like, I started, and I don't even know if I necessarily believed that at that time, but that is what I said. I remember saying something like that, and it just flowed out of one long, continuous whatever. And he had no choice but to listen to me because it was so freaking weird. And I didn't feel like I needed to stop until I was done, so that's what I did. And I don't know what he said about it, but I remember recommending it was like if you like real Christian or whatever, like you might want to just go get like high as a kite and open the Bible and see if he talks to you because that seemed like where he's going with this. Like I don't know. So I did that in the casino room in the hotel room. I got the phone and I was like, oh my gosh, praying the phone didn't ring no more. You know what I'm saying? So that was what happened in season 3. So I'm sure quality control and whatever state that was has probably got a tape of that, and are listening to it. So anyway, yeah, okay. So that was everything from last season. Then the finale happened where he said, surprise, like, you don't have to do any of that. It was a test. I love you. I think, yeah, the reason why I was so confused was like, okay, so what am I doing all this for then? Like what are we not going to do? Like, because it was more than just all of the pushing of myself I had done at that point of like, starting to take more and more because I felt like he was encouraging me to. And I felt like that was the point, and I'm thinking he's going to do it all, but in case I got to like help him out or something or do my part or whatever, that's what I was doing. And so, what was I saying? So I was confused because I was like, well, what, like, aside from that, like I had all these like plans in my mind, he's got me doing, prophecy and all of this stuff. And I'm like, well, where are we going with this? If it's not for me to like fulfill my purpose, it's not so much that I want to like be known or whatever. It's just like the whole point was so that I won't disappoint him when I get up there. And that, I just want to do whatever it is he wants me to do. And if this is holding me back, if this is going to be the key to unlock all of that, because I don't know, I can't think for the life of me what it could be. It's like, I know that I have gifts, but what is that? Like after a while, you live long enough, it's like, okay, everybody got gifts and what? Like, what does that even mean? So to hear him say that he was going to be like angry with me or, whatever, if I hadn't fulfilled this thing, I'm like, you're thinking, is this, he does this with everyone, or is it certain people that get that kind of like, but either way, you're just like panicked. So now I'm like, oh, I knew this was going to be, I knew this was going to happen kind of thing. And so I didn't see how that was going to resolve itself if all of that was just a test. Like, so what did we do it for? You know what I'm saying? It wasn't for that. So that's sort of the question, what I'm wondering about from that episode. So then, I don't know, the next day, a little later, 2 days, I don't know. All I know is it was season 4, episode 1. And I think actually that I didn't really get to Zooted that day. But I do remember that at the very beginning, or I think I did, but just not for a long time. But I do remember that I got the sudden urge to go to my computer and write, which just rarely happens. But when it does happen, it feels like an urgency. It feels like whatever the spiritual version of like having a poop is. Like, it feels like I got to get up and write or look at this manuscript or whatever. So it was like, I don't know, I think it was a Sunday. And I started doing that like pretty early in the morning. Well, then I took a chocolate like that morning or half one, whatever. And then, but I was still at my computer. And so when it started kicking in, I was at my computer and I was working on this manuscript of this book that I never haven't released yet and don't know if I will, but like just trying to get it on the page anyways, because I feel like I should. So I started it and left it, and now I'm going back to it. And I don't know, I had like 10,000 words, which is more than I thought that I had. So I was going back through the first, the parts of the story. And, as one does when they're on stuff, I don't know. I'm still thinking that it's not just me, like it can't possibly be. And I feel like I've heard this before. So, I mean, I know I've heard it before. So I'm sitting at the computer and everything just like pops out of my imagination. I'm like able to see like the next part of the dialogue. Like it's just like just got expanded. Like, and I'm like not even realizing like the way I went from not really understanding or knowing what he wanted me to be doing, if he even wanted me to still be like doing drugs of any kind, to okay, now you're going to be a junkie and whatever that looks like. I don't know anything about drug culture and what you do when you're on drugs and stuff. Like, I literally learned this on my own in my room. Like, no one helped me. Like, and God didn't want that. Like, I literally, the whole like getting high with other people and like having fun. And it's really funny too. God, you're amazing. It's funny too because I can even see where he cut that off, because up to that point, having considered drugs, or whatever, or weed or whatever, like if I were to do it, the end goal would be to like laugh endlessly. That sounds super cool. Like, I think I would be really good at that. I think I should do that. So that was ever the only draw for it. So what's crazy is the night that I like took something after the dentist appointment and I had the opportunity to be with other people, literally there was like a medical emergency and everyone left. And I got high by myself. I mean, my husband was there, But it's like he sees this stuff all the time, and he's just like a different type of person. So he's not on that tip either. So, a little bit, like he is a little bit, but for the most part, like it's been a solitary thing that I've just been doing. So, um, I'm just like, wait, I can leave my room? Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I mean, it's literally the first time that I left the room because I'm just like laying down, looking at the ceiling, like, wait, like doing like nerd drug stuff. Like, I mean, it wasn't that ridiculous, but I mean, it may as well have been. I'm like, let's read the Bible. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I'm like, that's the coolest thing that I can think of to do. Like, so yeah, the first time that I got high, it's funny too because the first time that I got high, like, my friend who gave it to me and had never seen me high, like, I know it would have been like we would have died laughing. We would have been telling the story every time we could tell it. Like it would have been built on a foundation of that. And like it could have easily been. There's no reason why it shouldn't have been, but it wasn't. And so I never, it was a solitary thing for me always, especially when God showed up. And then it was like very easy to do that. But even then, he was showing me, like, I was at my computer and my story popped out at me. And I was like, wait, because I know I've heard about that, about like people taking drugs and it like expands your creativity, blah, blah, blah. But it was just like, I know that I'm going to use that. I have no intention of abusing that or like what. I don't know what I would need to do to like I didn't need that to come up with a story, but it just made it more like if you're a genuinely creative person, like it's just fun. Like that's it. And it was like I saw like I used to like not want to say vision. So now I say visual because that, vision has just got so much baggage anyways. So, you don't feel comfortable saying vision unless you're stuck and you're looking at something in front of you. You know what I'm saying? And so with that, having an imagination, like I sort of cheat that a lot because uh, from an early age, I mean, I would say I was like at least 12. No, maybe I was a teenager. But by that time, I had like, I had developed my imagination and I was daydreaming and making up stories all the time. Or just working on the same one all the time. And so when I started like having a relationship with God, like, or started, taking him seriously as part of my life, I was using my imagination for a lot of stuff. And so I was using my imagination already to like, um, it kind of felt like I would be picturing something. Like if I was reading the word, and you picture something, and you picture like how you think it should go, or how it, whatever. Um, and then sometimes I would picture him responding or something, and I think that he like took over that process. Like after I got really good at doing that, and that there would be some things that were seemed to be his input because it would be like it would make me laugh out loud. And yeah, you can make yourself laugh sometimes, but it's just like it's a little more removed from you than it usually is. When it's and sometimes and honestly, those times when we think that that's us, it's probably him. To be honest, so yeah, uh, I just saw like my whole situation in here just like completely enhanced, and I saw this visual of him like like this chair. This is my like writing chair, or whatever. And he was like patting the writing chair and having me like sit down, like to have a seat. You're welcome. I love you. Like it was more of just like I have no intention of doing anything but just like making things like cooler for you. Like I was just like, okay. So it was like this really cool thing where it was like he was, I don't know, it was like an endorsement, but it was like I had another visual of me like in a huge, huge room, like at my writing desk, you know what I'm saying? Like a room in his house to write or something. Like he made me a room. Like and so that was cool. And then I think the next episode, oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, I got that right. Okay. So the next episode, we went back through like I have a journal, like, you know, I've been keeping journals, blah, blah, blah. So I have a journal that has like a lot of like whatever year or wherever I was at in my life. It's just a lot of paper. So there's a lot of stuff back there, and there's like some prophecies that were given to me. Like we would do these like circles where we would, you know, do a prophecy for whoever's like opposite you or next to you or whatever. So I got a couple of those, and so I got those out and reread them. That was intense. That was like wow, because um, because one of the things was a prophecy that I had given to myself. So that was like an open and shut case. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you think you're more impressed when someone who doesn't know you at all, that's outside of you, gives you a prophecy and God is showing you like, you know, and you think about like all of these audacious things that you put on paper for people because you're just trying to be, you're trying to follow the vibe of God being like super encouraging and the way he sees you and stuff. So you're writing some bombastic things sometimes, or just, you know, it's very like Christian greeting card type things. And so when he says it to you, it just sounded like him regular talking and that he got you and case closed. Like, so, but yeah, the one that was the clincher was mine because I know that I had no like future understanding of anything. So, and I also knew when I wrote something down about myself that I was probably like writing it in pain. You know, it's like something that's God's like, you know, you're like, he's like, write it. And you just are being obedient in that moment. So homegirl was being obedient in that moment because the stuff that was on that page just didn't make any sense how crazy it was. And so, yeah, I said that it was it reiterated God's version of me that he's trying to tell me about versus my version of me that I'm trying to tell him that about that he's got the wrong person. You know what I'm saying? So he just like, yeah. So that was cool. And then, oh yeah, I forgot to say what the theme was. So yeah, the theme for season 4. Let's see, how long did season 4 last? Because season 3, it's going to get weirder. That lasted from the 1st to the 18th. Well, I know the last episode was September the 5th. So yeah, it must have been whatever was after the 18th to September the 5th. So yeah, it's getting shorter and shorter. It's getting like 10-day, 2 weeks tops between seasons. So yeah, the theme was I think he's literally just going to be with me because I just did like a listen to all of those episodes. And I'm like, it's really funny to hear myself. I'm like, sis, I think he's just planning on like, I think he was telling the truth in the beginning. I think he's literally just going to be with me. Like, it's just really funny. Like, I could not, just to see me growing in a knowledge and faith of something that I didn't understand. I still like, I was going to by the end of the season, but and then even more after that. But yeah, so that's really kind of like the theme of this whole season. It's like me realizing, okay, like he doesn't want me to be a junkie. Like he cleared that all out. And I don't think I finished saying that about how it was something that lifted off of me, like when he said that. And that's why I was like hesitant to believe him, because I was like, wait, you can't take that away from me if I really still got to do this. Like, don't joke around like that. Because he's saying you don't have to do it. He was saying, like, whatever steps that would have led you, that would have had you did it, you've done those, and in my eyes, it's done. Like, congratulations. It was just like, oh my gosh. So that I was just like in disbelief, like, because I mean that I've been carrying that thing around for, I don't know, 2 months or 6 weeks or whatever it was, thinking that that was going to be my life for God to do whatever he needed to do with me. And he totally pulled Abraham on me. I was like, are you still doing that? I've not even heard of that you're still doing that. Like, and it was way more emotional than my recap, but I mean, still. So yeah, by this point, by season 4, I'm not worried about anything that I was worried about in the previous seasons. I was just now like, I think he's just planning to like be with me all the time now. Like, I think that is the plan. And so, so now I'm a lot more things are happening, and it's a lot more free. And I've just learned, and I've began, fine-tuned a system of communication. And so, but it's like the fine-tuning of the communication happened throughout my entire life. And then I had to like learn how to use the machine. So, yeah, one of the days he had me, or no, I keep saying it was his idea, it was my idea, but it's just like, he be acting like, that's what I say in one of them, I'm like, he be acting like these things are spontaneous. They're not spontaneous, because he did the same thing with my journals. He was like, oh yeah, go into one of those journals, like it was random. It wasn't no random. So, but I did remember that I was going to read Jasher. It was on my things because I was like, I saw it in, I don't know, it was in, somebody mentioned it in like one of the minor books in the New Testament. It was like Jude or somebody. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember Jasher is kind of like legit. It's one of those books that biblically endorsed books, I think is the term. But so I was like, yeah, I don't think I've read Jasher. I can never remember. I get them all confused anyways. So I started reading Jasher. And, it kicked in while I was reading Jasher. And I was like, it was really it was confusing because I'm used to the Bible being the only book that I read like this. So I was forgetting that I wasn't reading the Bible. So I'm listening to it. I'm like, dude, I gotta go back and read that story. I don't remember that story. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm reading Jasher. But it's like, it's not, the names are the same. It's just that certain people have an elongated history on them, and there's more information. So we don't know whether those stories are true or not. There's really no reason for them not to be, not really. But but you can't really know for sure. But it was still interesting to listen to it. And so I'm listening to Jasher, and by the time I end it, like there's so much detail in it. By the time that the book is like gets to Noah on the ark, and like in the Bible, I think Genesis is like 40 some chapters, and Noah's over by like 9 or 10 or something. So I was listening to it, and I'm noticing that there is sort of a uh, not really a messianic figure, but like a somebody that God rises up in an hour to, because the men are, straying and they're being evil. And he has a leader rise up among them. And like, in the pre-flood world, it was a lot, it was very bombastic. And it literally just say, yeah, this guy became king of the world. You know what I'm saying? Because it was just like, the beginnings and everything was just like, we can't even conceive of what that world was like. Everybody knew who God was. Everybody's living, these long periods of time. So everybody knows everybody. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if you were to plug in the ages in Genesis, like, just sitting around worrying about why somebody would actually believe that is not the flipping point. Look at the substance of the story is incredible. The guy that the very first guy that's reported to be on the earth is still on the earth with you. And it's been hundreds of years. So that when that guy dies, it's like, what? It's like this most insane thing. So there's like a rise and fall in leadership. Like, well, everyone's still alive. It's not even that everyone died and then the leadership changed, whatever. So I'm seeing the same pattern, and then it's like talking about Enoch, and there's so many similarities between Enoch and Noah. I mean, take your pick. He had John the Baptist vibes because he's like, they had him. They do more of his story in detail, and so at some point he withdraws to from society into a cave for 40 years, I think, is still, and then he comes back and he's teaching the sons of men or whatever. So I'm listening to it and I'm like, that's crazy. And then I'm realizing that Noah, and then it says something like, it was talking about Noah being in the last days. And a couple of times God like audibly spoke to them and said, repent from your ways. And I'm going, dude, all of this stuff is like insanely familiar. Ooh, this looks good. Can I have some milk? Can you do that? Can you be in charge of milk?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Yay. Oh my gosh. My kids can do things for me. Like, it's insane. I'm like, I did not prepare enough for this moment. But anyway, so I'm hearing all these similar messages about, repentance, and even like even the, if you don't turn from your wicked ways. I mean, that was New to Old Testament all day. And and then it says, it's talking about Noah telling people about the last days. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, so God has done this multiple times. Yay, thank you.
No problem.
God's done this multiple times, y'all. Like, and it's not like, ooh, this is new secret information. It's the same information looked at. Like, look at what comes out when he like points it out to you. So I'm seeing like Noah, and that was his last days as far as ever he knew. Those were the last days. And then I'm listening to uh everyone, like how the, when everyone starts dying off, it's around the same time about when Noah enters the world. So Noah pretty much only knew death, while everyone else like had never seen it once ever, and people were starting to see it when Noah came into the world. It was just fascinating. It was fascinating. And this was like when I really started to read scripture, like in this season. I mean, oh my gosh. So, but that was Jasher, but then it was like this whole thing started in my brain, because I'm like, dude, what if that is what, like, I don't even know how I arrived at this. I think what I'm gonna do, I think what God wants me to do is like cut clips of like all these different episodes and post them, because it is really interesting to listen to, because it's just kind of like emerging at like while I'm leaving it. That one in particular, I had to go back and leave a record of it, but it was like I was just seeing this whole thing of like God like using this like conveyor belt to like get souls to him in every generation, and how like this is just the current machine. It's the most modern, it's the most, it's like the Jesus message is this, it's the same message. He been doing this for eons, is what I'm saying. He been doing this for eons. Like, even if you don't consider Enoch, we don't know enough. He's extra biblical. We can't say that he was a forerunner. Okay, but Noah absolutely positively was a uh messianic figure. He literally saved the world. Now it was only him and 7 other people and all the animals and stuff. But it's like, that he heralded the end of the world, and no one else but his own family made it. And I was also noticing that like Noah was the only one. I mean, Noah and his family, his sons, were the only ones from that old world. And Noah lived till he was 600 something. And I do believe that God had already cut off the 100, every like man's years will be 120. But Noah lived until he's 600 years old. Like, everybody knew who Noah was. Everybody knew who Noah was. Like, aside from them all being your literal relatives, you know what I'm saying? And then I'm thinking, well, that, once he died, really, that all that entire world like was gone. Like, once Noah died, that was a world that could no longer be accessed. It's over. Like, you don't even know what that world is. So then I'm noticing that like, and I think this is in Jasher and not in Genesis. Yeah, no, yeah. Why would it be in Genesis? Okay, so in Jasher, um, it shows Abraham actually going to visit Noah. Like, he old. I think they barely overlap or something. But like, or no, I think they overlap for a while actually. But him going to see Noah. So it's like they're around. And I think like once Noah dies, Abraham is like the next. So I figured out, I was like, I had this theory, but I think I'm right, because it works with a lot of stuff. So it's like when the Bible says 1,000 years is like a day, when Peter says that 1,000 years is like a day and a day is like 1,000 years, and like every end times person is using that as their barometer for periods of time, and they should. And for a while, I was going back on that of like, is that an approximation or is it literally 1,000 years? And I think it literally is 1,000 years. And there is a night included. So like, it's like there's a 1,000-year period where a world can be known. After that, it really can no longer be known. And that's why it's a day. Like he was telling me all this, like, and now I'm saying it like I figured this all out. But like, some of it, I don't know. I don't know how to share credit. So it's like that first day died, or that first day went and died with Noah. No one can access that day anymore. Then there's Abraham. I would say Abraham to when Moses, takes the Israelites out of Egypt, because that's all kind of whatever, encased in its own whatever. And then there's a period where it literally says, one day a Pharaoh rose up that didn't know Joseph or any of that shit. So it's like that all that can no longer be known. Like it's too far out. So 1,000 years is about all you got. And I thought about like even in our day, I mean, it's shrinking now, but like something like World War II, like it's still relatively fresh, but the most recent like final generation that fought or would have remembered that war is pretty much all gone. But it's still relatively fresh. We keep it alive with movies, I'll tell you that much. And a couple 100 years, it's going to be in history books. And then in 1,000 years, it's going to be in the distant history book if it need to be there. Do you know what I'm saying? And then it's not going to be retainable for the people coming after. So like, so I'm noticing this, and because the Bible is entirely about God and his people and where people were at certain times, you can see the ebbs and flows of his involvement when another day comes along and someone rises up and he gives the pre-message, and then the person gives the message, and Jesus just happens to be in that line. He's the latest and only, the capstone, you know what I'm saying? And groundwork that has already been laid multiple times. So that's when I started I made this like little drawing, which, you don't know, but I just trust me when I say I had to be super zooted to do any type of drawing. So this was my chart that I made. Okay. And it's like day 1, day 2, day 3, Moses, law of Moses, resurrection, blah, blah. So yeah, I was just getting the gravy. He was just dumping the gravy out. And I wish that I wasn't like 2 seasons ahead, and so I could do this justice, because it was really amazing. And at the time, I was like completely floored and blown away. So, but I didn't quite have all the dates right and stuff, but or the breakdown and stuff, but I was figuring it out. I was trying to figure out, what day are we and blah, blah, blah. Or, are we right in what we have already about what day we're in, which everyone pretty much concedes that, this is day 6 or whatever. So, but I remember at one point my chart, I didn't have 6 days total, or I had 6 days total. And I was like, well, I'm trying to make it fit. I'm like, it's gotta be, if it's 6, that's fine, but it's gotta be like, it can't be more than 7, you know what I'm saying? Or the whole thing's all off. So either, it's 7 or, 6, but it can't be 5, and then it doesn't work. So I was like, working on it. And like, when you like the second to last episode, he's like, you want me to fix your chart? I was like, okay. So he was like, you don't believe I can fix your chart right now? And I was like, not really. Like, I didn't say that. I didn't have to say that, but I really doubted that he was going to be able to fix it, like right there while I was, whatever, and I was recording. So I'll have to post that. But he literally fixed it in front of my eyes. It was super, super cool. Yeah. So I started getting into the Great Beaver season. He, I realized that he created death. And I was like, stuck like that because I had to, not that it was like the newest thing I'd ever heard, but it's just like, it made me have to go back. Like now that I'm seeing everything in a different way, I had to like plug that back in. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So anyway, so that was Jasher. So then the next day, I was like, tell me about the Sabbath because I don't understand the Sabbath. Like I know, like, I don't understand why it's so holy or whatever. So now I'm just openly like asking him. I don't know if I'm going to get the answer then or later or whatever. Just, just very openly, comfortably, like approaching him with like anything that's on my mind that I've like wanted to know or understand better. So when you get to the Sabbath, like I really didn't think that I was gonna get this mega because like it's a real conundrum for me personally. Like it's one of those things that's hard to just be like, okay, well, you just don't understand things. It's like, yeah, but why is God like tripping about a like literally you can't work on this day and you could be put to death? Like I'm like, why? What is I still don't understand his emotional connection to it, you know what I'm saying? So I was asking him why it was so holy, and he did this crazy like it was mostly me. He was like hitting me with like joy or something. And I'm like, or not hitting me with joy. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the Sabbath like in its glory or something. Like not fully, but like not fully. But he's just like, I'm seeing that as I'm trying to talk about what he's showing me about it. And I'm just like, and I'm trying to like convey like just how because I went to the scripture. I put it, I did just a search on Sabbath. And I just thought I didn't know how long we would be in the book. And literally the very first scripture like sent me off into this tangent because it's about how like you'll gather food for 2 days and on the sixth day. On the sixth day you gather food for 2 days. So that you don't gather anything on the Sabbath. And then like if you keep reading, it says, you gather for 2 days, and then you cook that portion that day too. So he was just like, he was just making me laugh because he was just like, we're not doing anything. You understand? It's like, the previous day, I'm gonna have you cook all the food on the previous day so that you don't even have to cook anything. Don't even boil a pot of water, bitch. Like, just shovel the food into your mouth. We're not doing anything. Like, it was just like, we're gonna just breathe and that's it. Like, it was just really funny. It was like, is that really how he feels? Like, is this really just been really a long week? Has it been a long weekday? Like, he's like, we're going to sleep in. You understand? We're not doing anything. So I was like dying laughing. I was like crying, bro. It was fantastic. So that happened. And then I believe that was the same day that, he really leaned into this invitation thing and it clicked for me. He had been saying it all along, but like he really made it click because like I said, I was learning like how to prophesy and I was learning how to just like, work together with him and not just like expect him to, I didn't know how to like approach the process, like what do you do? And so, um, I was trying to do it not by accident. So now I don't even, it's not even, it wouldn't even take all of this, but like I just, by this time I was understanding it. But I remember at one point he was like I'm leaving records, and if he breaks in, he breaks in. So like he was like, did you want to continue? Like there's a whole thing like where um he's like, oh, did you want to say something? Do you want like, because that's the thing. It's like, and I think I brought that up in the previous video about how like the first time he asked me if he could, he's like, do you mind if I whatever? And I was like, do I mind? You're God. Like, and he was like, he didn't say anything about it then. He was just like, can I not ask permission if I want to? Like, maybe I want to be like polite about it. So this time, he was talking, and I guess like I'm in my head or whatever, but he was talking, and he was like, what's all that? Because I was like, he said, did you want to say something or something? And I was like, oh, you got it or whatever. And he was like, what is that? I was like, he just kept going on about like why do you think I want to just concede to be here? Like, it's like he was just like, I want to be invited. So I don't know. It's hard for me to like, I want to do like a one-to-one comparison or whatever, but it just would be like, I can't pause it. It's live. What you want, babe?
I want you to try this coconut water I just made.
With oil?
No, coconut water. Coconut water.
With what?
With coconut milk, little lemon juice.
Oh, okay.
It's ice cream.
It is cool. Did you put something? What is this?
No, it's just coconut water with a little lemon. With cucumber and all this. How did you taste it? So you can like it. I have to change it a little bit.
Why are you in here trying to give me drinks, babe? Babe.
It's just a coconut.
You drink it.
Cucumber. Try some.
I mean, I don't know why I did that. I don't think you're trying to poison me, but I'm just like, you're trying to get me to do something weird. I don't know. It's pretty bland. I mean, coconut water has just never been my jam.
Well, shoot it, babe. It's healthy for you.
You put something in that. Why do I have to finish it, babe?
Because it's good for you.
All right, I'll finish it here in a minute. I'm almost done with my thing.
You never drink anything I gave you. And remember how I'm always telling you, you gotta drink it all at one time. It's got a bunch of good stuff into it. I knew you wouldn't drink it if
I don't know what that means.
I'm always telling you to drink everything I give you all at one time because it's the best way to drink it because it's some super healthy thing. It's a vitamin C boost. I'm down on my luck, bro. I'm just in here making good drinking drinks.
Okay, well.
You can one shot that freaking thing. I
No.
want my cup back.
We'll take it.
Drink it.
I don't want it. It's not good.
That's what I'm saying. You can drink a little bit of it.
I did. Oh
You
my
can
gosh,
drink it a
you.
little bit.
Yeah, get out of here. Open the door, please. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Y'all pray for that child. He just lost his job, so he needs a job. Because it's hard out here. Like, we're literally like, it's sad because it's like, we're kind of like one paycheck away from just complete total destitution, but we're not doing bad. Everything is high. Like, it's really bad. It's really high out here. Like, what happened? So anyway, so yeah, I'll have to post that too because it's really animated and hilarious, and the way he was trying to convey to me that he needs to be invited. Like, you gotta invite me. So I was being really, really like timid, and he's like making fun of me. He's like, you got it, you got it. Like, you can keep all that. So that's when it really clicked for me that he's just different. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, he gonna ask permission in the middle. Like, would you still like me to be like Netflix? It's like, are you still watching? Are you still paying attention? Like, so it just completely flies in the face of any other bad thing that you would ever encounter. I mean, even if you took all of the labels off of everything and just went by sheer experience, you would have to concede that not only this, God that you're talking to is good, he pretty much acts just like a person that you meet. Like, it doesn't really go out of the parameters of that unless we're talking about how much more gracious and gentle and considerate they are. Like, so that's literally the only difference. Okay. So I did notice that he was already threatening to make me do freestyling and stuff, like, because he did start, there was some rap involved. Well, he's always telling me that he likes to sing, and he's always telling me, so it's kind of like a running gag now, like, where he'll be saying something to me and then it'll start to go into a rhythmic place, and he'll be like, I like to sing. I like to sing. So, like, I noticed when I re-listened to the season that he was already threatening to, like, turn me into a freestyling prophet. Yeah, I should have saw that coming. I should have, but I did not. Okay, so yeah, all of this stuff is, he's peeling away the faulty understanding that I have of him. And it's really, really great because it's all while keeping the scripture completely in place. So it's really just like exhilarating, because it's just like you're realizing that people were just guessing a lot of the time. And so, they use the Bible, and so they end up saying things right. But it's like, I'm sitting here wondering, like, how I'm the only one experiencing God in this way. It's like, am I the only one that, created the correct parameters or the correct environment for this discovery to be made? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of what I'm having to think because of what's going on in my life. Because I know that people would be talking about how they take drugs and hang out with God, like, every day that they want to. Like, I feel like that's, even if you consider, like, something that would be considered an off the wall testimony, and I've heard plenty of them from people who are considered, like, not listenable to or whatever. They're not saying this. So it's just really just crazy. But I can also see, if we're talking about, I know my own life pretty well, and I can see where there could be a possibility. And also, this is literally what God does all day, or at least purports to do all day, is make people who have purposes in life. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, but it's just hard to go from nothing to this, like, grand, like, red carpet rollout by God. It's just like, you don't know what you're looking at. You're like, is that you wanting me to clean that? Like what is this? All right, so one of my favorite episodes. I can't say it's my favorite, but it's one of my favorite episodes. I probably haven't talked that much on here about my obsession with Avatar: The Last Airbender, but like I am obsessed. I sort of got accidentally obsessed. I think I'm gonna just do this. I'm gonna do a half one. I don't want to do a whole one anyway and get through it and then have it be messed up. So yeah, I'm obsessed with Avatar. Like whenever it hit Netflix a couple years ago, it's like I don't know, 5 years ago now probably. But like I had always heard of it and knew about it. I remember when it was on Nickelodeon and I was probably in college. I remember I would always turn to Nickelodeon and it would be on. And it would just look, it would always be in when nothing is happening and they're just literally talking on the road. Like, and it just looked like a depressing cartoon that was depressing. Like, I was never into it and I couldn't watch it long enough to be into it. I don't know how this happened because when we sat down to watch that thing, me and Sarah, I was like obsessed with it. Like, I started it like at second season, and a couple episodes in is the Toph, introduction. And I remember I literally cried, like just thinking of how brilliant of a character Toph is. And I was sitting there crying, watching Toph. And then I remember we got to season 3, and I cried just because the show was so good. I was like, this show is so good that I don't even know. I can't even. So, like, I'm obsessed with it. It's like literally underneath the Bible. It's Bible, then Avatar: The Last freaking Airbender. Like, that thing is so amazingly done, well done, that I can't. It's just too much. So, yeah, so I'm obsessed with Avatar. And, I love Toph. She might be my favorite character. But I feel like I never even say that because I just feel like cheating because she's just so badass, right? So one day, my daughter's like, I bought a juicer, and so, wow, this couldn't have been before oh yeah, that is when I took the fast. So I did the fast. Did I even talk about the fast? That must have been the other part that got cut off. But yeah, I did a fast. I tried to do 7 days because I felt like he was telling me to do 7 days of no food, but I could not get through it. I could only do 3 days. That was my first ever no food, no anything fast, and just water. And so, but like I got inspired to buy a juicer, so that's what I did. And so we were in our juicing era, and so I had this idea, like I'm always like trying to, if I can hide a vegetable in something and have it be delicious, I'm like overjoyed. It's like too much. So I had made this drink and I bought like a honeydew melon, and I thought it was supposed to be a cantaloupe. It was in the cantaloupe thingy, but I came home and it was a honeydew. So I was like, okay, let's make do. No pun intended. And so, that had like a quarter of it makes like so much juice, but like, I think I put like some celery and something else that was green. And then like I put like ginger beer, I diluted it with ginger beer and blah, blah, blah. And so we had like maybe like 4 or 5 juices up to this point that we had created. Me and my daughter were the only ones that care about this juicer. So, and we're like avid fans. So like we started naming them after Disney characters. And so we had like, the Pocahontas. I'm really proud of the Pocahontas. It's got carrot and celery in it. You understand? Like an apple. I don't know. It's real woodsy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think what was the first one we made? Oh, the Shrek. And so, like, because a lot of things, it's pretty easy for your drink to come out like bright green when you're juicing a bunch of stuff. So this was another one. It was kind of like a champagne-y thing because it had ginger beer in it. So I was like, well, what should we call it? We can't just go around calling everything Shrek. Like we're gonna like wear it out. She goes, I know what it is. It's the Toff. I was like, oh my God, Sarah, you're 100% correct. That's exactly what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, a little zooted. Like I had taken something, but it hadn't kicked in yet. So she's good. She's like, you know what? We should just watch Avatar right now, and we should just have a Toph marathon. We should have a Tophathon. I was like, yes, let's do it. So so we had that, and then I turned on Avatar, and this was another instance where I wasn't like in my room, holed up in my room, and I was like, I felt like I was like, hang out with your child. So I was hanging out, I was watching Avatar. Now I'm starting to kick in, and I'm ready to have like just a good old time watching this show because I love the show, and I'm thinking I'm gonna get like some spiritual insight revelation from it because I'm, pretty high, and I'm sitting there watching it, and it's to the part where they introduce Toph, and she's like in the wrestling arena or whatever, and she's pretending to fight or whatever, and so or pretending to lose and stuff. So, or no, what is she doing? She's fighting for real, but she works with the wrestlers. So she's gonna like give them the money that she wins from the thing. So anyway, blah blah blah. It's a fixed fight. That's the point. And it's showing how she's like detecting the moves and doing all this, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh my God, Tom, I love you. Then I hear God come from the back. Talking about, you're Toph. I was like, GTFO. Hi. I know, I'm gonna eat it right now. I'm making a video, so now I'm not gonna eat a cookie on my video because it's live.
I literally warmed it up for you. Now it's room temperature.
It is room temperature.
And so is milk.
Well, I will. Well, you can't go put this in the fridge for me, and I will heat that up myself. So anyway, so yeah, when he said that, I was like, I literally said "F you," like I couldn't help it because I was high and it was my brain. It wasn't like I said out loud, but I did say that. You get a lot. It's not so much that you get comfortable. Actually, it is. That is what happens. You get more comfortable, and then you worry, like, should I be this comfortable? But it's like, oh my gosh, what?
Where's David?
I don't know. He's so tall. I was like, ah. Oh my gosh. So, and then of course no one can shut my doors. Aha. I made a complete circle around my desk. So anyway, so he's like, you're Toph. And I was like, yeah, because like, why would you say that to me? So when he said that, I was like, all right, like, and I learned this method while I was doing this with him, which is like when he tells you something, instead of just shooting it down immediately and disbelieving it, or disbelieving that it came from him and thinking it came from you, whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just let that sit there. I'm not gonna even engage with it until I hear it 3 times. Like, and it's sort of like, it's a good method, but like, sometimes it's because it's like you want to keep interacting, but it's like he then told you this thing that you cannot swallow. So you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna just leave it right there then. And if you want to bring it up to me, you're going to have to be the one to bring it up to me because I'm not going to engage with it myself. You know what I'm saying? So I sort of learned that method by this point. So when he says that, I'm like not ready to entertain that at all. But I'm like, okay, I'm just going to let him say that and let him tell me that that is the truth. And just go like that or whatever. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching it and I'm thinking about, it's almost like, it's like he is showing me, he's saying like the way that she sensed things is like how I do things in the spirit. It's like he was saying like, cause she's blind to like what other people would think is obvious. So it's like she can do these like super, because I was like, oh, is that like my discernment? Like, and then I got like too deep into it. So I was like, oh, so that's like my discernment. And so when people try to like do this, he's like, okay, well, there's no such thing as earth bending. So not really, but like, so I kept trying to like overdoing the metaphor because I was high, but he was like, it's like, that's how you do things in the spirit. It's like you can't, because you can't see or you're blind to certain things, your other senses are super heightened to do these other things. And he's saying, and he was like, and that's why, but it's like the idea is that you're Toph and you don't know it. So it's like everybody can see that Toph is blind. Toph knows that she's blind. She grows up in a house where her parents make that excuse for her that she's blind and she can't see anything. Like if this is happening spiritually, you don't know it. So you're just compensating or hiding the fact. So it was like he was just explaining me to me and like putting things in their proper, like this is what the context of what this was. And but I don't really know that at the time. I'm just like, I'm hearing him put forth some good arguments and I'm like, okay, I think I can see that. And the more that I'm like willing to concede that, the more I'm like seeing it parallels or whatever. So then it gets to the part where, the avatar, and he was like, and that's me. I was like, this is ludicrous. Like, what? So he's like, it gets to the part where they go to Toph's house or whatever. And, the avatar is trying to like recruit her to go with them. And she don't even want to go. But like, there's a part, so they're all sitting at the table. And I guess the teacher that teaches her earthbending is there. And and the parents are asking them something like, so like, how's Toph doing in her classes or whatever? And he's like, oh, she's doing very well. He's like, I don't teach her, I'm just teaching her the basics. She's just learning the basics and, she's safe and everything, whatever. And when I heard that, I like dropped I remember I had like a knife or something and I dropped it. Cause I was like, oh my God. Cause like the teacher literally said like, oh, we're just teaching her the basics. So Toph is like not telling everybody that she is a earthbending master. That's what he's telling me. He's like, she did that on her own. Everyone thinks she's blind and feeble. Meanwhile, she's been learning from the badger moles. You understand? She's been learning from the source on how to do this. She has a better grasp on it than any person. And she's literally hiding that fact from her parents because her parents are like, oh, Toph, she's blind, she's helpless. So she don't want the smoke. She just want to be able to she doesn't care. This is her life. This is what she's whatever. But on her own, she learns and learns and learns and learns and learns and learns and learns. And I'm like, oh My God. I literally had to concede that I am tough. Like, those are the hardest parts, like, to do, is like these huge mega balls things that he's saying about you. And you have to accept them. And then, like, when you see the evidence, you have to accept evidence that is in front of you. Like, and then you have to say something good about yourself. You know what I'm saying? Something real good. So that happened, like, middle of the season, right? And he's telling me all types of revelation. I'm asking about, it's just my brain anyways, because this is just how my brain is always running. And so he's just super hyped. I can hear his responses. And I remember one time he was like, I was asking him about like male and female, like, or like the woman being like just another kind of man, like made, like a woman is technically also like a man, a female is like, I don't know, in spirit terms or whatever. And he was like, no, they're two separate things. They're two separate beings. Like, he just kept insisting on that. Like, and he was trying to explain it to me. He was just like, no. He was like, no, they're two. It was like this is that. They are not the same. Like, completely different vibe than what I was saying. He's like, no, they're two separate creations. Two separate creations. I was like, okay. And then I kind of left it. And then, okay, so dude, it's already 1.5. I feel like I should cut it off because the rest of this, I think, would take up the whole time. So I think. But we did plow through quite a bit, but I'm gonna break this up. So yeah, it's been an hour and a half of me rambling, and I really just am interested to know if this is gonna mess up as well, or what is the matter? If it's a matter of me being high while I do these, is it that my brain is just less fighty? Or is it that he wants me to be inebriated on camera or something? Like, I don't know what the deal is. I don't know which thing matters, but I guess I'll know if this thing turns out like what he's wanting me to do. And I can't believe I'm already on season 4. But yeah, I am going to have to break it up because a lot happens. And yeah. So yeah, I'm done. Okay. And I don't know. I'll probably be back tomorrow to do the part 2. Yeah. Okay.